Let it be known that the true light shines in every woman and man that cometh into the world. The true light that shineth in the darkness, but the darkness comprehendeth it not. Let us all within air of this true light fellowship hour bear witness to the true light within, that we may, like the real and living Messiah, Yahshua Christ, who many know today as Jesus Christ, pick up and bear our own cross, that we may be worthy of the Messiah by way of the Christ or Christ consciousness, known also as the first resurrection. And as we are now living in these times, let us all rise from our sleep and slumber and do the works of the Most High Heavenly One this day and every day, as we say, Amun, 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 and Namastu, which simply means, I bow to the divinity in you. Well, Namastu again, and welcome to another Sunday service here at the Holy Qubtic Church of the Black Messiah, located in historic Bain Town. My name is Pastor Dr. Cleveland W. Eneas III, also known as Ka-Hun, Anku Sa Ra. And as always, we like to begin by greeting our listening congregation, those who may be hearing this through the radio or Facebook or YouTube. However this message is coming to you, we appreciate you allowing us into your space and encourage you to come into our space any Sunday at 9 a.m. for our Sunday service, or any Wednesday, Wednesday at 7 p.m. for our True Light Fellowship and Bible study. And for those of you who did make it, Namastu, which again simply means I bow to the divinity in each and every one of you. And today, we are touching on the reality of engineered consent. And oftentimes we watch the news, we learn in school, we speak about how grateful we are to live in a democratic society. And being in a democratic society means that majority rules, correct? Mm-hmm. And correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And make sure we're on the same page. Someone say nope. Right? But in any event, majority rules. We have free and fair elections. This is what is touted. This is why we are thankful. This is what it means to be free, is to have the ability to choose your leadership and to make some choices that other people in other parts of the world, quite frankly, do not get to make. And that is true. We would not be allowed to have the Holy Qubtic Church of the Black Messiah in some countries in the world. We know that. Bottom line. And so we are thankful for the freedoms. However, we also understand that we are being told certain information in order that our choices be controlled. And therefore today's sermon is entitled Idle, I-D-L-E, Idle Knowledge, Idle Actions, I-D-O-L, actions. Okay? And so what is idle knowledge and idle actions? Well, I want to start out by reading the words of a gentleman who wrote a book that's entitled Propaganda. His name is Edward L. Bernays. Edward L. Bernays. And this is just a segment out of the book. It reads, "The conscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses is an important element in democratic society. The conscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses is an important element in democratic society. Those who manipulate this unseen mechanism of society constitute an invisible government, which is the true ruling power of our country. We are governed, our minds are molded, our tastes formed, our ideas suggested, largely by men we have never heard of. This is a logical result of the way in which our democratic society is organized. Vast numbers of human beings must cooperate in this manner if they are to live together as a smoothly functioning society. In almost every act of our daily lives, whether in the sphere of politics or business, in our social conduct or our ethical thinking, we are dominated by the relatively small number of persons who understand the mental processes and social patterns of the masses. It is they who pull the wires which control the public mind. Edward L. Bernays' book is called Propaganda. If you want it, come see me. Right? So I'm reading this book and I'm saying, wow, that's true. We feel as if we have an unlimited view of what choice really is. When you go in the food store, you feel as if, hey, I can pick what I want. Not recognizing that somebody had to decide what items you were going to choose from.
The choice is up.
You still stuck on multiple choice. We may say we have all this freedom, and we are thankful for the freedoms that we do have. Let me just say that. But we cannot be content with what it is that we have been given as a people. Because this statement or quote that Edward L. Bernays puts in his book Propaganda really speaks to the core of how we make our decisions. Okay? If you are not given proper information, then you cannot make proper decisions.
That's true.
Bottom line. You understand? And so, when we talk about idle knowledge, idle knowledge is knowledge that has been given to us as humanity in order to engineer our consent as it relates to policy making, as it relates to elections, and even as it relates to our divinity and our salvation.
Sure.
Because if everything that you know about God, about salvation, about divinity, has come from, and as Edward Bernays say, has come from men, a small group of men that we don't even know, whose names we do not even know. And the ones whose names we do know, they dead. Right? I remember hearing even Miles Monroe talk about this a couple of years ago. The fact that we are being controlled by the words of a group of dead men. And so, as we think about this thing, what does it mean for us as Atonus with regards to controlling our destiny? Well, I want to touch on several things that I hope will inspire you to think. Let's go to the original books of the Bible. Because the first thing that has been taught to us is either we were created by an unseen God who reached down, put his hand in the dust, formed man, and then eventually he realized the man was alone and shouldn't be alone. And then he reached into the man, put him to sleep, took one of the ribs, made a woman. And then life, as we know it, came into existence. That's one end of the spectrum. Then you have another group that says, well, that don't make no sense. You don't believe in mythological spook gods. See, what actually happened was there was a big bang. And out of this explosion, everything that we understand life to be came into existence. And these two thoughts or schools of thought to this day are still at war with each other. In America, they say, well, we're not allowed to teach creationism. They call the whole story of God creating the world in 7 days and so on and so forth. They call that creationism. All right? And they teach this whole aspect of evolution based on Charles Darwin. And you know, these things are out there. But why am I bringing them up? I'm bringing them up because, again, if the knowledge that you're going to utilize to make decisions has already been skewed or truncated, it's a fancy word for cut off, then you, I don't care how good a thinker you are, how wise and intelligent and how divine you may be, if this is all that's being presented in front of you, then your scope of the actions that you can actually begin to put forward out of the information becomes idle. Becomes idle. I-D-O-L. In other words, what happens is the idle information sends you in a circle. And that circle becomes a tradition. An idle tradition. A tradition that says, well, we do this because my parents did it, and my grandparents did it, and my great-grandparents did it. So the actions that are consistently happening over and over and over again are happening because when you ask somebody, well, why are you doing what you're doing? The most scholarly amongst them will say, well, it says here in the Bible, or it says here in the science textbook that, hey, this is what happened. And that, in both respects, is gospel. And this is why I have fun with my friends on Facebook who consider themselves to be realists and they don't believe in the spook Hebrew God and say, beautiful. But you believe in Charles Darwin, though. You believe in Isaac Newton. You believe in Sigmund Freud. You believe in Stephen Hawkins. Because if you ain't in that lab yourself, if all you doing is reading publications of what they said, they found, then you still in belief. Come on? I'm not saying you shouldn't read those people. I'm not saying you shouldn't even read the Bible. What we are saying is you better test the Bible as much as you testing what people talking about in the laboratory. Because in order for there to be a big bang, something had to be there to bang into each other. Where did that come from? And so what the devil or Alpep Zuen has done is created a circumference of information that allows you, no matter what your polarity is, to be entrapped. Because I asked a friend recently, I said, beautiful, you love science. Why do you care though? Because science doesn't explain that. Science does not say why. It may tell you how, but it does not teach you why.
That's true.
Why is it that you actually care? Why is it that things concern you? There's something, a part of you that cares. What is it? Science cannot explain that.
That's right.
That's right.
Religion can't explain it. Because religion just writes it off as God. But what is that? And so now, in this day and time, we must begin to delve into what is this that's really inside of us. When we say Ane, what is that? You're not going to learn about Ane by simply reading books. We're not asking you to believe in Ane. We're asking you to experience Ane.
Come on.
Because that's when it's real for you.
Yes.
Ane, those words is what allows for the unseen and the seen to become one. But only through your dedicated, confirmed following and adherence to the 9 sacred rites. And this is why Ane always allowed for there to be guides amongst us. Because if a chef baked a cake and left it on the counter, and you came in later on, you never met the chef, you taste the cake is good. I want more cake. You know, all of the other things that come along with good cake, right? I want another slice, whatever. If you never met the chef who actually baked the cake, physically now, does it mean that you've never met the chef?
No.
I want you to listen now. There's a specific set of ingredients that have to go into the cake.
That's right.
The oven have to be set at a specific temperature. The shape of the cake. Maybe even a drip of sweat. A little bit of love.
Something.
You put your toe in it, right? Right? All of these are the fingerprints of the chef. I say that because as we live inside this planet, in the solar system, in this galaxy, in this universe, that which created the universe, the galaxies, the solar systems, the planets, cannot actually be encompassed by the universe, the galaxies, the solar systems, the planets. The Most High Heavenly One, Ane, fingerprints are a part of the universe, the galaxies, the solar system, the planet, and even you. Which is why math is so important. Which is why science is important. Science is not the why. Science just shows you how things correlate or correlate to allow us to understand that though there was an explosion, it was not just a big bang. There was an actual pattern, pre-programmed pattern in place that allowed for things to happen in an organized fashion, even up to this day, whereby we still have winter, summer, fall, spring, 4 seasons. We still have the appearance of the rising of the sun, the appearance of the setting of the sun. We could go on and on and on about the various systems within nature. But science cannot explain, nor can religion, based on the knowledge that has been left for us to decipher what is actually going on. So we look at evolution, right? Page 161 in the original books of the Bible. And this is book number 9, the book of the processes of evolution. Verse 34 reads on page 161, at the bottom of 161, Be thou diligent, and you shall be taught of how the very first single-celled organism did not possess all of the genetic information within itself to bring forth humanity on its own. So in order for humanity to ultimately go through many processes of evolution, which took your species through countless leaps and bounds of development from a primitive single-celled organism, whereby a lot of genetic information had to be added along the way. So this is the first stumbling block that science has. Because if you say that yes, we did come from a single-celled organism, science can also prove that that single-celled organism did not have enough genetic material to become what we are today.
That's right.
That's a fact. It's no different than a computer programmer programming a computer and understanding that I didn't really program the computer to do that. There is no program that I put inside of the program to do that. So someone else had to have added some new code to allow for this computer to now talk, to allow for this computer to now walk, to get up, to do some things, and even added some appendages, because that's what the program would have said. Allow an arm to grow, allow this to grow, allow that to grow. So some things had to be added. Where did it come from? Religion simply says, oh, God did it. Science finds their own miraculous ways of saying how things happen. Whether they use the word evolution, we can talk about what the word evolution is in any event. But in any event, we are still left wanting. Our actions still become idol. It's idol worship. It's idol and idol. So as you worship the idol, you wasting your time. You understand? Verse 35, O humanity, let your ears be attentive and your eyes become opened, that you may be able to recognize those with reptilian eyes on tar earth, for they are surely the children of Apep, Zuin, who will work to suppress such teachings, and those that are righteous on tar earth. So there's a group of people suppressing knowledge.
This is true.
They don't want certain information to get out. Why? Because they can't control you. That knowledge is the fertilizer that causes the DNA, RNA, chromosomes to actually activate.
That's right.
It turns on, and once it's on, it's never off again. It's open forever, and they can't control you anymore. It goes on to say, you must know that in the case of the processes of evolution, this genetic information was added by we that are the guardian angelic host, as well as countless other celestial beings, both benevolent and malevolent alike. So agreeable and disagreeable beings were stepping in on the genetics of those single cell organisms that were seeded. Because that's the next question. Where did the single organism come from? Well, we talk about it in the scriptures with regards to our guardian angelic hosts actually seeding this planet by way of the dolphin. All right, from Mars. Now, see, you say, man, that's some far-fetched stuff. Except for when NASA is saying it. Except for when there's actual pictures of the laboratories on Mars. There's actual pictures of the stations on the moon. They're not hiding that anymore. They can't hide it anymore. We're in the information age. All right? Don't believe anything I'm saying now. Go look up Richard Hoagland from NASA. These fellas get up with their PowerPoint presentation. They worked in NASA. Y'all ain't supposed to know this, but anyway, click. You understand?
How do you spell that, Richard?
Just put in NASA, face on Mars, right? Hoagland, Hougland, something like that, right? It'll pop up, right? So this makes sense with regards the scriptures talks about in Genesis chapter 6 that the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men and took them wives. This was one group stepping in on what had already become the daughters of men. So this hasn't stopped. It still continues to this day. And then another group came in Genesis 6 thereafter, after the giants were in the earth, and they also married women, had children, and their children became the mighty men and women of renown, the Jibbarim. Right? This is in beginning of Genesis 6. I ain't going there right now because of time. Right? But I'm saying all of this to say that even in Genesis chapter 3 and 15, I will put enmity between thy seed and the serpent's seed. Talking about the woman's seed and the serpent's seed. Seed. Zera. Sperma in Greek. You know what no zera is. You know what sperma is. Right? And so you cannot get away from the fact then that what we know as the natural or the scientific is the divine. What those who, as Edward Benet talk about, what those who want to control the masses have done is to separate us from that which is divine and tell us, oh, that's just mundane, that's just scientific, that's just an everyday occurrence. So that we don't appreciate the divine that we actually encounter on a daily basis. This whole aspect of propaganda comes out of the Catholic Church. The propagandists was a congregation of cardinals. Came together to decipher how they were going to control the masses. They control science. Nothing becomes scientific until the Catholic Church says it's scientific. That's why you have Catholic universities, you have Catholic hospitals, and you have Catholic churches. They understand. They know exactly what they're doing. And this is important for us to know because you're going to encounter people that you have to deal with that want to dismiss you because you are going to church. Oh, I don't believe in that church stuff. Oh, what you believe in? I don't believe in nothing. Okay. So, when we say the hurricane coming and you cannot see it,
you believe it's coming?
You know it's coming, or because it could veer off. Do you buy the wood and the water and the canned goods, or do you wait until? Because you don't believe that. Belief ain't the problem. It's what you choosing to base your belief on.
That's right.
We say you can meet at 9 o'clock on Sundays. Anything could happen. You don't know until you know. Until you get here. But you come, right? You have the faith that we can have church this morning, right? So we ain't nothing wrong with faith and belief. It's what you choose to put your faith and belief in. That's why we talk about true faith. So this single cell organism then had to have genetic material added to it. Verse 36 reads, lift up your eyes again and let it be revealed at this moment in your existence of how if you allow your mind to search without prejudice and without taking any preconceived belief, you will see that you can find the point at which these two original Tamarian or ancient African precepts, namely original or primary creation and secondary or evolutionary growth, merged, forming what humanity knows as life in your latter day. You don't have to throw them away. You don't have to throw away evolution or creationism. You have to find where they are at one. You have to find where they meet. Because you can prove that evolution is a reality by watching the actual cycle of a sperm becoming a baby. Everything that they talk about in evolution happens between the man and the woman and coming out of the waters and developing and growing. If you just nowadays you could put a YouTube video up. They could show you from the little tadpole all the way to the human being. That's evolution. That's showing you what's inside the pre-programmed genes of your mother and father up until this point. You have to go through everything that the species that you actually are composed of went through in order to become you. You are the head of what they are calling evolution. But I want to point to, or pick up, just stick a pin there, because let's see if I have it. Go to page 127. Starting on 127, starting on verse 87. 127, verse 87. As we talked about the merging of primary creation and secondary creation, which is evolution. Verse 87 reads on page 127, were the DNA of humanity's mothers not pre-programmed in such a manner as to cause a secured place to be prepared for all fetuses? Had to be.
The True Light Fellowship Hour, brought to you by the Holy Qubtic Church, will be right back after these messages.
Have a damaged bumper and looking for quality work at a good price? Let Bumper Tech repair your bumper by remanufacturing it to its original specification. Bumper Tech also offers a full line of auto body repairs and a wide range of plastic welding and repairs. Call us today for an assessment at 394-0891, 676-2288, or visit us at Soldier Road Industrial Park. Bumper Tech, quality without compromise.
Art Ventures Limited, trading as Floral Arts, still creating beauty through the art of floral design. Your special occasion is all that matters to us, and we pride ourselves in maintaining close relationships with our clients. For wedding decor, receptions, or any special events, contact Art Ventures at 677-2860 or 393-3561. Visit our website at www.floralartsbahamas.com. Relax and let Floral Arts make your ideas come to life.
Welcome back to the True Light Fellowship Hour, brought to you by the Holy Qubtic Church, led in the Bahamas by Pastor Dr. Cleveland W. Eneas III, also known as Ka-Hun, Anku Sa Ra.
These parts or points we refer to as planets, right? We're talking about planets and planets coming out of suns. This is what is before this verse, just so we understand. These parts or points we refer to as planets, stars, and other galaxies, which are all macrocosmically like humanity and Earth. We say this insofar as their respective births. There is a gradual process, such as the sounds of an octave, by which each of them develop within their respective womb or gestational area. Everything that is created comes out of a womb or a space that allows for it to grow. Verse 88, realize this, that from the electrical storms which occurred on the central point of this solar system that will become your galaxy, the Milky Way, did manifest your solar system which exists within this universe, all by way of a supernova or massive explosion, which all started out as a musical C note of each octave being the same C note, with the exception of it vibrating on a higher or lower scale called tones. So now you're fusing in music with the Big Bang. Because if there was a Big Bang, what did it sound like? Scientists.
Right.
What note was it in? Because this is saying that it's a C note in all octaves. You see? This explosion is what all Tamarian teachers call the third degree of darkness, as it caused the reverse or evolving action which led to the collapse. Put another way, things went from revolving to evolving, whereby even in the case of the visible universe, things began to decay or die. There's a difference between revolution and evolution, so let us explain. Contrary to popular belief, evolution does not mean to develop forward, but instead, its actual etymological meaning is unfolding, opening out of a formation, tactical movement, development in detail, or from a rudimentary state or backwards formation. This is why we can't figure out how to build the pyramids. We're going backwards. This is why we can't understand why in our ancient cultures we didn't have prisons. We didn't have the crime that we have today. Why? Because we're going backwards. We evolving. We going backwards. We decaying. We losing manners. We losing intelligence. That's why every generation they talk about, boy, remember in the good old days when people used to have manners. Remember, you got to remember all the stuff that you were supposed to do. Because every time we try to have a revolution, when we get back to manners, we had more doctors and scientists in the 1950s and 60s than we do today amongst black people. So the revolution started, and then it went right back to evolution again. You understand? Thus, with this last definition, backwards formation, we are able to see that evolution in fact means decay, decompose, crumble, deteriorate, or death, whereas the word revolution, which is commonly seen as meaning rebellion or revolt. We can have a revolution up in here. You say revolution, they get scared. Start calling you a terrorist.
Yeah.
Huh? So it means rebellion or revolt, and is seen as a negative or destructive thing, yet in reality also bears as its etymological meaning uprising, rising up or upwards. Isn't that what we want to do? Or you want to stay down? Who wants to stay down? I ain't want to stay down, so we must be getting up. That's uprising. Okay then. Moving of a celestial body in an orbit. Well, if we don't revolve around the sun, we dead, eh?
Absolutely.
All right then. Time in which this is done. Periodical reoccurrence. Complete change of affairs or reversal of conditions. Well, if I'm a slave, I want to reverse the conditions. That's reverse racism. That's correct. We want to reverse racism. So of course, what I talking about can sound like reverse racism, because you know you're racist. It means roll back or around, turn over in the mind, to cause to travel in an orbit. Thereby, with these realities, it must be known that surely revolution precedes evolution, as it is the first cycle of existence on through to creation, and as such is the most potent of the two cycles, which are symbolized by birth and death, yet divided into four quarters, namely what? Summer, which is youth, fall, which is adulthood, winter, which is old age or death, and spring is what? Rebirth, called infancy. The four cycles of all nature, Nataru. See? So, when scientists just talk about evolution, they're missing a big part of the picture. But what about revolution? Unless somebody is what? Engineering consent. At least somebody is trying to get you to accept that you are simply supposed to accept that things are going to get worse. So we have to put this tax on you, right? This VAT. Because if we don't do that, then our dollar can devalue, and then you don't want to be like Jamaican, them, right? You don't want to be like they call when our names of our brothers and sisters down in the Caribbean. You don't want to be like them.
No.
Trinidad. I mean, Trinidad, who have what? So you're all lying. We got enough resources here to not only not have a debt, but to be collecting a check. Every man, woman, and child in this country could be collecting a check monthly off of Aragonite.
That's right. That's right.
I ain't talking about salt yet, you know. I ain't talking about lime. I ain't talking about sand. I ain't talking about sun.
Or the oil.
Oil. The trillions of dollars they talking about down there. But they already trading on the stock market.
Right.
While we sitting there, I wonder if the oil is there. Really? In London, they trading it.
And they just sell the blue hole.
They just sell, or they trying to, Teens Blue Hole. They just have the championship underwater stupid people diving. See how long I can hold my breath.
Yeah, that's another
Blue hole.
Yeah.
Is that yours?
I'll take that.
Yeah, I understand.
It's vortex like.
But again, this is what we're talking about. So there's a point where we're back on page 162 now. We just finished reading verse 36 and 162, where it talked about the fact that this primary creation and secondary evolutionary growth merged, forming humanity. All right, forming what humanity knows as life in your latter day. What you know as life, that's key, because they'll teach in science that chemistry or chemicals are non-living. That goes under the heading of non-living. But how all these non-living things come together and then all miraculously, and then life has come out of it? How? They have to have life. They have to have life. So we only see life in a certain way, a selfish way. If it don't look like us, then it ain't really alive. Verse 37. Sad. So here's where we get to knowledge then. This is what the youth of your latter day need to be taught. For original Tamarian or ancient African true religious identity, which came out of the angelic mysteries, was designed to utilize reason in order to accumulate and utilize knowledge. So where are you supposed to get your knowledge from?
Reason it?
You're supposed to reason it out. Nobody's supposed to come hand it to you on a platter. Hey, here's your knowledge for this, for your life. That ain't how you ain't supposed to just be handed. You just wake up and they give you a whole book. Well, this is God's word. Read it, live it, know it, become it. Amen. Hallelujah. No. Let me have some time in it, please. Allow me to reason. Because if he told Peter and Paul and Timothy and Titus and even Jeremiah, and they could have been having a bad day. They could have missed a stroke of the pen. I mean, even God repented that he made man. So if the chief could say, "Mud, do what I make them for." Come on now. Huh? Jesus so perfect. Watch this now. But he picked a traitor that eventually got him crucified.
He knew he would be.
Oh, he knew though. Right? Yeah. Why he just didn't jump up on the cross? Why the theatrics then? That's what they're trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Why the theatrics? Why God need all these theatrics? All powerful, all knowing, everywhere, but need theatrics. Huh? You done make man and woman out of the dust of the ground. And then by the time you get to know, you need two every animal. You need this boat to be built. I must flood everything. You can't just cause them to die. What you got to drown them for? Or these are natural occurring events that they trying to say God is doing. Ain't no God doing nothing. We read that last week. Who you calling God? They gone. Bye. They done on another abode. They left their genes here to be them. And we can read about that in a second. Right? Some people don't like to hear that. I hope I ain't scaring you. But again, reading verse 37 again. Original Tamarian true religious identity, which came out of the angelic mysteries, was designed to utilize reason in order to accumulate and utilize knowledge while giving the masses proper guidance through the scriptures towards the betterment of humanity. You could have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't have guidance on how to use that knowledge, then instead of using the hydrogen to create hydrogen energy, you start making bombs. Because you weren't guided.
That's right.
That's the danger with only having science with no religion. And the danger with only having religion with no science is the ambulance is race past the church to go to the hospital. Why do they race to the churches? Pastor, lay hands, please, this one just get 5 shots. Hallelujah. All right, now you in this church. They didn't save your life. Use all the boy. Got you. God tell me no. All right, they pull all the bullets out you. Why? Something is wrong. No ambulance is raced to a church unless someone in the church gets you or fall out to get them out of there. So again, if the religions don't have enough science, then unfortunately they still are wanting. If the scientists don't have the religion, then they are still wanting. You need both in order to see the full spectrum of God, or not to real him. All right. So let's now look into the parchment entitled Sila, which is the Atonist Prayer Book. If you have it, we're on page 58. Because, again, with Atonism, this ain't no poof and something showed up and we just reading to you what God just handed and put in our hands. God don't work like that. Even in the Bible, God don't work like that. Because God made no the law. Like, come on, God. You can at least build a boat for you, boy. Like, no, you build a. I can give you the dimensions. Go to work. You got to. He gave him a he gave him a time limit. And if he didn't have the boat built, none of us would have been here according to the scriptures. Right? Only the fish. Page 58 in the Sila. It says, how did the precepts, rites, rituals, and practices of Atonism develop? We're talking about knowledge now. We're talking about what it is we're using now to guide ourselves. The countless values and practices of Atonism were not developed all at once. Because if that was the case, then we would actually have photographs and videography of Akhenaten. It wouldn't even be no debate. Or maybe we ain't find him yet. Maybe that's the big thing. We can stop doing stuff off and see Sony. Like my daddy always used to tell me as a little boy, when they can go up there on Mars and they can kick a coke on you. He always used to tell me, what it is, they can go, they darn there talking about they discovering, they can go up there and find a coke can. And then, yeah, somebody was here for it. Selling coke beer already? Huh? Especially the ones who sell Pepsi, they really mind. Right? So the countless values and practices of Atonism were not developed all at once, though they are all based on the words and teachings of all the divinely inspired scriptures, namely the original books of the Bible. Atonism is the true religious identity. Alchemy is the science. As the alchemists studied and recorded, they were also merging or bringing the information into one so that we could understand why it was important to actually record. Why did the wise men have to use the stars? God didn't tell them. See, people they missing these points. God has come down and tell certain people some things, but the wise men needed a star. Me and God couldn't just say, man, go right to Bethlehem. You know, by Craig Corner. Yeah, you know where the big boat is? All right, past the big boat. And he didn't do that. Make them use a star. Craig and I know Craig and them was back in the Bible. They ain't right there, man. Do Craig them wrong. Right? It says, instead, what is now inscribed, gathered, and compiled at the Grand Kanisa of Jerusalem, that's H-E-R-U, Jerusalem, has been gradually done over the course of countless millennia. What we are dealing with right now is the works of our great ancestors. This is why the silsila is at the very beginning of the original books of the Bible, the unbroken genetic chain. All of those people, BBs, the female popes, Babas, the male popes, the saints, all of their work has allowed for us in this day and time to be able to read the original books of the Bible. The original books of the Bible didn't just pop up. We ain't just say, hey, we special, we angels, we got a book. No, we're saying we are part of a genetic lineage that has kept the sacred writings. That's all we're saying, right? For countless millennia, in order to provide all who seek true faith with direct access to the largest compilation of all Nubian Melaninite cultures, writings, teachings, records, scriptures, stories, and accounts of any living civilization, religion, or spiritual doctrine. You realize the book of what they call the book of Revelation, if it's properly compiled, is about as thick as 500 thick dictionaries. That's one book. That's why I said we got work to do. We got plenty of work to do. Because this ain't the church that you can just come to and talk and just only fellowship and socialize. That's why some people don't stay, because this ain't a socializing church. This is a working church. And we just at the point where we cutting, come in, my brother. We just at the point where we cutting foundation, and they coming to see Big Grand Cathedral. Right? Check us in the next couple of years. We'll be there. If that's what you're looking for, we'll be there for you. Right now, we dirty. We digging trench. You understand? We putting wires in. And if you ain't here for that, well, hey. So it goes on then to look on page 59. So what is required of those who seek to convert to atonism by joining the Holy Coptic Church? One of the main principles which a person who seeks to convert to atonism must embrace is that they must give up any preconceived concepts of what they have been taught about the Most High Heavenly One, especially those things directly influenced by Greco-Romanized opinions. But Greco-Romanized opinions is what Edward Bernays is talking about. Propaganda. Enough information to engineer your consent to them telling you what the Most High is. Because if you can't see God in the very people who you actually living around and being with and calling family and calling friends, if God ain't in them, then your religion ain't worth spit. Because what that means is you busy trying to serve God, but you can't serve your own brother.
That's right.
Your own sister, your own wife, your own husband, your own children. And that's what's wrong. Because we running to church, but I got my Jesus. If y'all don't go, I can be at the gate and say Peter and call my name. What nonsense is that? Bible don't even talk about that nonsense. Bible says you have enough 12 gates. So if you're only looking at one gate, you probably ain't going to heaven. You lost.
The gates.
You are the gate.
That's right.
As Psalm 24 says, right?
That's right.
So the Greco-Romans came in and told you what the Most High was. First they said, well, it's only a man. Call him father, but he's only a man. Let me see the hands of fathers in here. Let me see the hands of the fathers who became a father without a woman. Precisely. None of us. You need a woman to become a father.
That's right.
So where's the woman in the Bible? It's God the Father and God the Son and then God the Holy Ghost. You remember me? He that mad. He's a single parent. He that mad. He can't even put the boy ma in the bucket. He that mad? Kind of God it says. I ain't talking about the Most High Heavenly One. Let's be clear. I talking about what the Greeks and the Romans did to the scriptures.
That's right.
Right? Instead, the newly converted atonists must be in favor of not just believing in a.k.a, but instead experiencing the Most High Heavenly One a.k.a, whose very essence is within each and every one of us, thereby not believing that divinity is, but instead what the ultimate divinity can be based on, gaining a more meaningful insight as a result of all of life's experiences. Every experience you have is a divine experience, is an opportunity for you to meet the Most High Heavenly One. Not in just reading books. The books help to guide you, but then you still got to go live.
That's right.
You still got to go meet that world. You can't just stay home and read books. Furthermore, those who seek to embrace true faith through receiving the Qubtic rite of baptism must begin their quest for atonement by way of developing diligence through the practice of sila, never letting anything or anyone hinder you. When we talk about our atonist way of praying, it's not that the Most High needs you to pray. That's not what we're saying. We're saying the same way, and I like to use the analogy of a gym. All right? The same way you exercise in your physical body allows for you to make better use of it. It's the same way you exercise in your spiritual person allows you to make better use of it. That's all we're saying. The more you understand and utilize Sila, or your true prayer, we're saying we can teach you how to pray the way Jesus prayed, the way Yahshua actually prayed. He fell on his face. He spoke in a particular language. That's what we're saying. He prayed at specific times. And in doing that, that awakened a portion of the divinity that is within him that allowed for him to do what you would call miracles. That's what made him divine. As we said, the word divine and the word divide. When you want to know the difference? He was a divided being. He was caught between two worlds, heaven and earth. Like Asaru. Asaru had to set up the Asarian Wasetian society to keep the generations of the earth connected with the generations of the heavens. This is why they teach you to look up into the sky, you know. Not because God is up there, but that's where the books came from. The first books that you call holy books are in the stars. If you learn how to read the stars, then you'll understand the books. If you ready to read the books, then you'll understand to read the stars. That's how they knew things were happening on the planet. That's why they could say, all right, the Karast consciousness is now amongst us. Because they observed nightly for 25,000, 50,000 years. They knew that when something went out of alignment, we got to log and understand what that meant. That's how they were able to do it. So, it goes on to say, it is by doing such, talking about Sila, that each of us actually confirms that we have made every effort to keep open the relationship between the Most High Heavenly One, An-Re, and our own soul through following the example of the willing Son, the Messa, Yahshua, that is Tut Ankh Amun, which means the living image of the Lord. So in the Holy Qubtic Church, we don't teach you that, well, it doesn't really matter what race Jesus was because, God is love, and that's a bunch of crap. If 2,000 years from now you see this white picture of Selinden Pinland, the father of the nation, people who have records of what was going on in the country when he was alive, so that ain't true. So why does it matter, brother? Why does race always matter with you people? You always putting race in front of us. Don't tell me it don't matter, but he was a man. Okay, well he was a man, he had a race. Well, he was Semitic. He was Hebrew. He was black or white. Michael Jackson. Don't matter if you're black or white. And they made this crop up only a couple hundred years ago. Herodotus and Plato and Aristotle landed in the Middle East, Nine in their writings. They created the Middle East in order to not have to talk about Africa.
That's right.
Right?
You have been listening to the True Light Fellowship Hour, brought to you by the Qubtic Church of the Black Messiah, Journey Home Group International, and our advertising partners, of whom we are very thankful. We are located at number 72 Meadow Street in historic Baintown and led in the Bahamas by Pastor Dr. Cleveland W. Eneas III, also known as Ka-Hun, Anku Sa Ra. If this message has been a blessing to you today, and you feel it in your heart to assist us in bringing forth this weekly message by way of advertising or otherwise, or you wish a copy of this message, we ask that you please contact us at 242-426-1148 or email us at qubticrevealer@gmail.com. That's QUBTIC revealer@gmail.com, or on Facebook, the Qubtic Church of the Black Messiah Journey Home Group International, Bahamas Branch. We bow to the divinity in each and every one of you by saying, Namastu.